Reducio King opens his phone to show a video of a smiling, impressed Paul Scholes on his feet applauding a goal that had scored. Elsewhere on his mobile, there are pictures of King playing against Ronaldinho and legends like Ryan Giggs and Hernan Crespo. His eyes light up with the mention of Ronaldinho, and he admits that it was an honor to share a court with him in India. King has just taken a seat after leading a coaching session. He leans forward and prepares to discuss his journey, which started in the Caribbean and continued in the Netherlands, before eventually leading him to Manchester. "Not bad, eh?" he says, before putting his phone away. King fell in love with football in the streets of Amsterdam, and he's now a youth coach at Manchester United. He also coaches at Manchester Futsal Club, and he's just finished a session with a hall of children who were executing rainbow flicks. It's not ordinary for the rainbow flick skill, recently attempted by Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. against Kyle Walker in the Champions League, to be perfected by kids so young. But King is keen for those at the futsal club to be different. Futsal is the sport he loves most, and he wants to pass his passion on. "I loved coaching straight away because I was able to show my street skills to the guys. I'm sharing my ideas with the kids and giving knowledge," King explains. "I don't see many coaches coming off sweating. You're trying to make the kids fall in love with the ball. Once they fall in love with having the ball, they will fall in love with the game, and as they grow older, the rest comes into play." Futsal is excellent because you're always on the ball and there's no hiding place. "I believe in 11A side you can hide sometimes, but in futsal, you can't. There are constant one-on-one battles, constant action. You have everything you need." King has earned opportunities most could only dream about through futsal, and he's now molding future generations. Around half of the children at Manchester Futsal Club play in academies, but the club remains inclusive and welcoming to all. Zidane Iqbal, who has spent the season around United's first team, visited Manchester Futsal Club throughout his teenage years, and Reece Bennett, who captained the club's FA Youth Cup winning side of 2021-22, is another to have made regular visits. The charismatic King was inspired by Dutch street footballers when he was younger, and that influences his training sessions. The kids from the academy would often come down to the futsal as well to learn new skills, which they had never seen before, King says. "We'd teach crazy, creative skills, but at the same time, you're being aggressive with your play on the ball. My slogan when I am coaching is to be aggressive but expressive at the same time." "The beautiful thing about growing up in Holland was you had a lot of guys who were inspirations for us, as they would do innovative, impressive skills. I was born in Suriname, but I moved to the Netherlands, and I was raised in the southeast of Amsterdam. We'd always have a concrete playground, and many people from that playground actually became professional footballers. It was a competition all the time, and looking back, we'd see who could replicate the skills and make them even better." King moved to England at 18 years old, and he played for FC United of Manchester, Mossley AFC and Trafford FC, but in his own words, he adapted too late for the sake of a professional career, and he eventually prioritized futsal and coaching. King's journey since has served him well. He was given the opportunity to play in India's Premier Futsal League in 2017, and that was a chance to play against some of the game's biggest names, and for him to challenge himself against futsal stars. It all started with an exhibition for futsal in America the year before. International players were able to demonstrate their skills and send them to the PFL. They would select you for the trip if they deemed the footage to be expressive. A few futsal legends were there and it was a proud moment for me. But I'm not going to lie, because I'm so comfortable on the ball, I didn't fear anyone, and that's what the game does to you. Hence the reason I'm trying to do this with these kids. If you're comfortable on the ball, regardless of what level you play at, you'll always play with and not shy away from it. That confidence explains why King received a call from the organizers of the Premier Futsal League in India. Ryan Giggs' team won it the year before and I said I was interested. They fixed me a good contract and we made it happen, he adds. We flew to Delhi and my first thoughts were, wow, I'm in India. It was exciting, and when I got there, I was buzzing because we knew the marquee players we were playing against, the likes of Ronaldinho, Giggs, Scholes and Crespo. Everyone wanted to play with Ronaldinho, but when I arrived, I was on Scholes' team and I was delighted because I'm a Manchester lad and I was working with Man United at that point. It's also Paul Scholes, everyone knows the maestro. I was part of his team as the only English-speaking guy, everyone else was foreign, so that was obviously a bonus. He realized that I was from Manchester and I said not really, but I've lived there for years, and we quickly built a connection. King represented the Bengaluru Royals in the tournament and he was able to create memories to savor. He competed against some of the world's best futsal players and he witnessed competitive duels between Ronaldinho and his peers firsthand. Ronaldinho and Michel Salgado would clash on the court, King recalls. It was quite hefty between them and Scholes against Ronaldinho were competitive against each other. The marquee players would mark the other marquee players. You always had to have a marquee player or an Indian player on the court, that was the trade-off. I didn't really play at the start and Scholes was asking why. I eventually broke into the side and was part of the strongest 4 players at the end. I think Scholes was impressed. When he asked why I wasn't playing at the start, I joked and said, well, you're the marquee player, if you want to sub for me, feel free, and he did so. He actually subbed himself for me a couple of times. I'm very, very proud of the whole experience out there. It's something that nobody will take away from me. When someone checks my social media now, the first thing they see is my interactions with Ronaldinho and Scholes. I pinch myself, but at the same time, I feel like I deserved it. I worked hard to get there. When I came back from India and continued coaching at United, his boy was in the academy at the point and he was at a session to watch him. You can picture me and Giggsy in India, and just a few weeks later at academy training, I was just like, are you alright, Ryan? King then began to smirk as he recalled a tale away from the futsal court. I won't name the player, but we had a little private party during the tournament, amongst the international futsal players and the marquee players, he says. I entered the lift in the hotel to head up to the party that was going on. I was with a marquee player, and when the lift opened, another marquee player stepped in, and let's just say they had some company. That was a funny moment. King eventually returned to England, and shortly after his time spent in India, he came across Amir Ibragimov. The youngster was having a trial in United's academy and King was responsible for coaching that group at that particular stage. Ibrahimov's trial was successful and he's now considered one of the leading prospects in the academy. He only celebrated his 15th birthday in April and it's understood that he trained with the first team at Carrington a few weeks after that. To be given the chance to train with the first team at 15 years old is highly unusual. Ibrahimov has vast potential and United had to field numerous inquiries about his future last summer, but the club were always keen to secure his long-term future. Ibrahimov was tied down to a new deal in August and he made 5 appearances for the under-18s this season. It's therefore not a surprise that King's excitement is tangible when the conversation turns to his work with the youngster. "I didn't know much about him at first but could see his energy," he says. "His never-give-in mentality is what impresses me the most. If you need someone to sprint for you in the last seconds to clear the ball because there's a counterattack, he'd be your kid. There aren't many I've seen that can run like him. I could see him playing as a number 10, like a Wayne Rooney role, driving forward, switching balls, tackling, attacking, you name it. Just making sure the team does well. He can attack and defend. I've played the game myself and I know being great at that age is good and it's something to be proud of. However, if the end goal is reaching the first team, you have to keep yourself humble and working. I think he can get there. Hard work beats talent and he's got both. He can be guided to become even more successful and we're one big family." He was shy at first, but if he knows you, you'll see the real Amir. He was going to be a little reserved, to begin with. He came to this country and couldn't speak the language, but his English is beautiful now, it's really good. I went to his recent game against PSG. His work rate was shown again but we thought he could have done better, in the sense of being more creative. Sometimes you have to be braver and I tell the kids to try stuff. You're still young. As a kid, building that sort of confidence is important because when you progress to the senior game, you know you've got it in your locker. We don't want Amir to lose his flair or creativity and as a technical coach of his, he's got all the tools in his toolbox to succeed. Ibrahimov will stay with United throughout his scholarship period until he is eligible for professional terms when he turns 17. He is eligible to represent Russia and England, and he's already featured for the Three Lions at youth level. He'll have to decide who to represent in the future, but at the moment he's in a good place, King adds. England are looking after him and giving him call-ups, which is the recognition he deserves. The family are very proud of that. Thinking of where he came from in Dagestan, to come to this country and be accepted, to represent England is huge. The interview is about to end and King outlines his message to anyone thinking of joining Manchester Futsal Club. "We're a very inclusive club and we want to give everyone, from grassroots to the academy, a chance to be the best they can be," he says. "You will feel at home here, but you'll have to be patient with your progress because Rome wasn't built overnight. That's also the approach being taken with Ibrahimov's development. United could have a genuine talent on their hands.